Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Durr and I'm a professor at California State University, Monterey Bay. Today I'm going to share with you some work that we have done with a community partner out of the Pajaro Valley in Watsonville called Regeneracion, Pajaro Valley Climate Action. And this is a case study of community engaged research, and we will have community members and students also share their perspectives on the work that we did. So I just want to start with a little bit of an introduction to community engaged research, because it can take many forms, including research in community settings as well as courses that involve students in community engaged learning and research. But the heart of community engaged research is actively involving local people in decisions that affect them. So participatory practices are designed to shift the emphasis from government action and decision making to a more democratic process of engagement where all members of a community are seen to have expertise on the places where they live and can meaningfully contribute to how those communities are structured physically, as well as policies that shape practices within the community. Partnerships between communities and universities can provide rich spaces for critical inquiry, challenging inequitable structures, and allowing students and communities to foreground issues of central importance to them. In this presentation, we will share examples of work that we did with Regeneracion, Pajaro Valley Climate Action, in the Central Coast of California. So Regeneracion initially worked with community members, volunteers, and faculty at San Jose State University to develop and conduct a survey of how residents experience changes in their environment and how climate change was affecting their lives, and to identify local priorities for action. We then partnered with Regeneracion through a research methods class to analyze data a little bit more in depth and look for trends and differences across agriculture workers and non-agriculture workers, as well as gender, age, ethnicity, and language spoken in the home, and also residents. So in this phase, we had students engaged in a variety of ways. They engaged through the research methods course. Some students also partnered with Regeneracion through a service learning course and worked on policy analysis and community engaged research and outreach. And then other students worked through independent studies following the research methods course to deepen the policy analysis recommendations work.
I'm Nancy Falstick, and I'm the director and one of the founders of Regeneracion, and we are working with community partners to empower everybody in the Pajaro Valley to respond to the global threat and changing circumstances of a changing climate right here in the Pajaro Valley. And what we want to do is help people build bridges between individuals and organizations to make a unified movement that can be part of the larger climate justice movement. We're helping get the word out about climate change as a social justice issue, particularly with how it's affecting farm workers in the Pajaro Valley, and we're building new environmental justice leadership, particularly among younger people. We are very interested in partnering with colleges and universities, partly because we're a new and small organization, so the partnerships are a way to really deepen the work that we're able to do and increase our capacity by working with students who can be volunteers, sometimes getting credit, sometimes as internships with us, and also working with professors who can bring in their expertise. Extremely valuable at this point, especially in our organizational development. The partnership with CSUMB has been particularly rich. We were really fortunate to find one professor right away who has been connecting us with specific students to work with us, and who continued some of the research through a research and methods class. And we're interested in CSUMB because so many students from Watsonville attend CSUMB, and we want to develop leadership by people who represent the majority population here.
My name is Kiani Ledesma, and I work with Regeneracion through a service learning class I took at CSUMB. work that I did with them let me see how important it is to have information be available in a language that the community can understand. Because once they have that information and knowledge available to them, then they will feel empowered to create change in their communities. Participating in events and writing the policy paper really encouraged me to focus my environmental studies degree in the direction towards social and ecological justice. And before Regeneracion, I knew that I wanted to be an environmental educator, but now, after Regeneracion, I really like to focus on providing workshops for low-income communities and also communities on reservations. So every single person has the knowledge and skills necessary to feel empowered and create change in their communities.
Hi, I'm Anna Gonzalez. I'm a CSUMB student, and last fall I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Dirt on some of projects, and one of them was Regeneracion. We decoded some data and we found out what farm workers were worried about, and through that, this last spring, I chose it as my service learning, where I volunteered my time to help the organization. For me, Regeneracion really changed the outlook of how I was looking at things in that community of Watsonville, because of the amount of work that Nancy, the director of the program, has done. It was just like something that she was really passionate about, and now she has talked to council members and mayors and has reached out to the community and does surveys, and it really impacts the community and like teaches or like educates the community on how they can protect themselves like with the climate change, and it's just awesome to think about that anyone can do this type of work.
Hi, my name is Abigail Melchor Aguila. I first began working with Regeneracion when I was in Victoria Durr's research methods class in the fall of 2018. In that class, we did data analysis of a survey that Regeneracion had done the previous year. While I was working within that project, I realized that Regeneracion was a great organization, not only because they were working within a community that I'm from, but also because they are doing something that I'm passionate about, which is climate change. After that semester was done, I did a service learning class, and I decided to volunteer with Regeneracion. I wanted to work within my community because I felt like it was important for me to give back to them. And when I was working with Regeneracion, I did a lot of things, such as create and edit future handouts that they were going to give out to the public, as well as table at various community events and conferences. I was able to talk with community members, people who spoke in English and in Spanish, about climate change and possible solutions that we can come up with to better the lives of everybody who live there. And we also did surveys around the community just to better understand how people are feeling. While I was working with Regeneracion, I was able to further develop my communication skills. Whether it's talking with the farm worker or creating publications, it's important that we give out information that's easy to understand, because climate change is such an important issue that it's important that everybody understands what it's about. It also made me realize that that I want to work within a community, like within the community, because climate change is going to affect everybody differently, and it's only working within that community that we will realize what they're going through and what kind of solutions would work best for them.
Well, my job with Regeneracion as a community organizer, I in charge to develop new leadership, especially young people, and encourage them to learn about the climate change, all those problems that we are facing right now, and it's very sad that a lot of people, they don't know about those changes, those problems that we are facing. And thank you to the students that helped me to pass the information to more people there in Monterey, Salinas, Watsonville. They very involved and they take ownership of this program. they very active when I call for meetings. They show up every single time. They contribute. They not only in discussion, but also with suggestions and take initiatives to go and speak with more people about the problem. So to me, that's a very, very value to have those students working with us as a volunteer, because we not pay them, so they donate their time, and like I said, it's very valuable for us, and especially like I mentioned before, young people need to be involved in this problem, and I have very good experience working with Abby, with Anna, with Jesse. Those are very enthusiastic students and volunteers. And to me, it's not just volunteers, they are leaders. They are very strong leaders. Every other day they call me and say, well, Sergio, I spoke with this and these people, and we explain about all those changes, and what can they do in order to prevent the problems that we are facing.
The outcomes have been many and very positive. For us as a small organization, we've received well over 300 hours of donated service learning time between students in a research class and students working as interns or doing their semester placement with us. With that amount of time, we've been able to complete a couple of additional publications. We've also worked in public settings, using students to interact with the public, representing our organization, and carried out some other kinds of tasks. For the students, it seems like many of them have been able to try a variety of activities with us that they hadn't done anywhere else. Some have expressed fear or nervousness about interacting with the public at tables, and then to watch them over the course of a semester gain the confidence and ability to represent us beautifully has been a really satisfying part of this experience for me. I think a main reason why our partnership has started successfully and continued to be so successful is that we were fortunate to find one particular professor before we even began the partnership who expressed interest in us and was able to refer specific students to us. Without having that, it seems like we might have floundered around a little. We might have ended up with some students who weren't necessarily a good fit, and that might have discouraged us from trying to continue and make this be an ongoing partnership.
My advice for other students would be to go out and actually work with these organizations, because you will be exposed to working with a diverse group of people that you might not be exposed to.
So this fits into my future career because I want to work with the community. I potentially want to be like a mayor of a city and just like reaching out to the community and listening to them and their concerns and how we can better support them and serve them, just because of their different needs depending on the community. I think it's really important. I really want to focus on environmental justice and making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity and a chance to experience the environment, and I think Regeneracion does a very good job on that.
My advice for future students, or for any student who wants to be involved in environmental justice, would be to be involved in local organizations within a community. So it is local organizations that are doing a lot and have the ear of the residents within that community. So it's important that people work with them to better the environmental conditions within that community.
Working with students has strengthened my resolve to continue to look for and back the leadership of young people. I think the climate justice movement should be led by young people who represent their communities.
I want to end by just reflecting on some of the ways this has been useful from a faculty perspective and from what I've heard from some of the students I've worked with over the course of the last year on this project. So one of the values that students see and that I see is that this is an opportunity for students to experience real-world applications of applied research. Students don't always understand or see how research is useful in community-based work, and this is a great example of how that was the case. Students also learned from a community perspective how a constructive way to address climate change, both through education and through meaningful action that was driven by community questions and not necessarily the ones they would have constructed themselves had they not seen what the community was working on. This particular project was an excellent example of what community-based participatory research can look like. One of the challenges is that students only see pieces of it at a time, but because we were not the first to develop or work on the survey, they did gain a sense of the time partnerships can take in developing and conducting research, and know that this work will also carry on after the project. And I have shared with them some of the reports that have come out since the research methods class, and then some of the students who you've heard from were in the research methods class and then engaged with Regeneracion through service learning, and so they've seen a variety of ways that the research has been developed and applied over time. Many students in the research methods class said that they learned more about local climate impacts, which is something that is not generally covered in the curriculum on climate change, and this helped make addressing climate change seem more accessible and realistic to them. We did issue some pre and post survey reflections from the students who were involved in the survey analysis, and one of the changes that we saw was that the level of concern about climate change remained relatively consistent before and after working on the survey. However, the amount students said they talked about climate change did go up, and the amount of knowledge gained about local impacts went up significantly. And on a scale of 1 to 5, it went from 1.7 mean score at the beginning of the course and to a 3.8 mean score afterwards. One of the students commented in the post-course survey that, "I hope your work can improve people's lives and solve some issues caused by climate change, but I truly think climate change will be the downfall of human society within my lifetime." For me, this is the most compelling reason why we need to keep doing this work and why so many young people have begun to engage, because we must find ways to do what we can, both constructively build hope and to do everything we can so that the students' concerns are not realized. It is imperative that we maintain hope even when the harshness of reality may suggest the opposite, according to Paulo Freire. And so one of the best ways to maintain hope is to be involved in communities. The stories our students have shared show how this has inspired them to take more action and to see the value and importance of getting involved. They speak of increased confidence, awareness, and motivation, and increased clarity on the types of work they want to do. Very often, the benefits to students can be greater than the benefits to community. In my own work with campus community partnerships over the past 10 years, I have learned that I need also to make a commitment and invest significant time to the development and maintenance of partnerships, not only thinking about how I will weave projects into my courses, but also how I can make sure some of those products help advance the goals of my partner community. In the case of Regeneracion, this has meant working after the course was completed to invest time and expertise into polishing and sometimes reanalyzing research, helping draft fact sheets and policy analysis papers, and recruiting and advising additional students to work independently after the course was completed. As a faculty member, the work is richer for me when academics can not only build student skills, but also support the redistribution of knowledge, valuing and recognizing the rich contributions communities can make to our students as well. Thank you very much.